Are we live
Live.
or are we dead?
Yes. And I need to mute that tab before I hear myself speaking double. And... No? Yes? Come on.
Is it working?
I, I don't... I'm not sure. It doesn't look like it is to me for some reason. That's weird. Do either you see it working? If you
For me, the stream is not on.
Yeah, the stream is not going yet.
That is odd.
Oh.
Oh.
Now I'm getting a law firm ad.
Ah, wonderful law firm ad. I think it's working now. Yes, it's good. I don't know why it wasn't. This is weird. But in any case, we're live now. I don't know when it's actually started working, but here we are. Yes, this is the big one. I could have titled this stream better because I knew it was the trade one in advance, and oh boy, I see in the background we've got
we can see
an
the
image.
HRE. We can see the HRE on the map.
Oh gosh! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
It's so beautiful.
We can see outlines.
It's so beautiful.
HRE confirmed.
Ignore
HRE
the
will
London.
be present.
Ignore London market, Paris market. Ignore all of this. Need to look at the little outlines of the the little boys. These little
so
guys
beautiful.
in there. But I'm looking at this, and what this looks like is static markets to me. So I'm scared.
I want you to take a look at Paris. Look at the little fucking tumor next to Brittany and the little growth going into Cologne and London. Do you think those are static, permanent borders?
Oh, you're right. Because looking in the east...
Look at Krakow and Prague. Do you think those are static?
The Kaffa market has the Genoese flag on it as well.
Yeah, the person that owns the center.
Yeah. So...
Which interestingly looks like Aquitaine is held in personal union with England.
Yes.
Because it has
it's probably a subject, yeah.
Because there is that really small Bordeaux market, and... okay, the more I look at it, the more it's... Yeah, this is much more... alright, well... I'll get into reading what it is. I'll keep you guys all... You know already what I'm about to find out. But yes, I'm sure I'm just being pessimistic. Where's my water bottle?
Alright, Joffrey, I encourage you to be as pessimistic as you possibly can.
I have been. Well, Armas Ingeson. Yes, I am being as pessimistic as possible and assuming it is dreadful, because I absolutely hate the EU4 trade system, and basically anything they do to make it better... Oh, I need to move myself over. Basically anything they do to make it better will make me jump for joy, so if I keep my hopes very low, in the end, I will be happy. So, let's see how happy I am. But yes, the final of the 4 economic system things, topics. Trade. All things trade, markets, merchants, trades, heavy on tooltips. Yes, give me all the tooltips. And concepts to digest. Yes. Checking through them perfect. Checking through multiple times. Sit down and figure this out. EU4 has trade unlike CK3, but here's the thing, Armas. The trade in EU4 is so terrible, I wish it didn't exist at all. I would have more fun in the game if there was no trade system and it was an arbitrary production value that you make money from instead.
Okay, there literally is an arbitrary production value, but it's better than not having it. It's just bad.
Well, because it's a system that is designed to hard railroad Eurocentrism and create, the late game trade hegemons of Britain and the Dutch, essentially, and in the early game, the Italians. That's the issue with EU4 model. If you're going into a game with that design intent, it makes sense. But as they moved away from Eurocentrism with EU4, it increasingly made ever less. So its cracks, flaws showed more.
All right. I take it back. All right. Maybe it wasn't quite so horrible as I'm making it sound. Emphasis.
Common Joffrey L.
What is wrong with my throat today?
Too much training.
Oh. So, if EU4's trade system had the ability to dynamically change flow and end nodes, that would actually be pretty cool. But it is not that way. But we shall figure out what they decide to replace it with. So, markets themselves. These are dynamic and will change through the playthrough.
Hey, Joffrey, I think there's a slight chance that they might shift what's in a market and what might be in a different market, for example.
No.
Yeah, I have only the
No.
smallest inkling that these are not static.
No, I don't. These all look very much. The more I look at these images, the more I think, yes, these are definitely exactly the same markets we will have all throughout the game, and they will not change at all. Mm-hmm.
That Constantinople market better be renamed the Constantini market.
Oh
When
no.
the Turks take it.
I just love the Prague market. Like the Krakow and Prague market just like worming their way around each other. What is this? Why? I really want to know what state of affairs has caused this.
So according to somebody in the Reddit thread that popped up for this dev diary, in Polish history, this is a really interesting period. Casimir the Great ascended the throne 4 years ago, and 2 years ago he relinquished Silesia. So that might be why the markets are somewhat entangled currently in Silesia with Krakow, but also with Bohemia, because it is currently drifting. It has been released from Poland, and it's falling into Bohemia's sphere, like we see in the normal EU4 start date, where Silesia starts as a vassal to the King of Bohemia.
So in this case, it's probably representative then of the process of the people of Silesia slowly not relying on trade as much with the rest of their former realm.
Poland, yeah.
Then there's stuff like the London market's very interesting. I'm very curious to see all that. I'm very curious to see the actual we have kind of the outline of some borders as well, which is very interesting because there looks to be some sort. There's some that wouldn't be Edinburgh, but there's some. I don't think, but there's like a one county realm maybe, or is Scotland split? Are they having a civil war or something? Or are there a bunch of small countries? I don't know what Scotland would be dealing with at this point, but Wales is alive, and that's all that matters. Hello, Aiden. No. That's fine. I'll play them anyway.
For Scotland, I don't remember if this is the time of Mr. Longshanks or not.
Is it Braveheart o'clock? The Highlanders are coming.
So the map that I'm finding has Scotland on the map as a unified polity. So I'm not.
So Scotland should exist in some form then. I mean, there is some border up there. Whether they're a vassal or not, who knows? But it looks like there's multiple borders too.
This is actually after Robert the Bruce died, so Scotland is free.
That's a very, very good point, Armot. Yeah, but the fact that they're saying that it can dynamically change throughout the campaign, which is exactly what I want, personally, as I think all three of us here in this call do. The fact that you have examples of the London market, which... Yeah, the London market is just huge. And I imagine the whole reason, it's called the London market is just because the British control it. It's centered on London, so it's called the London market because the capital of it is London. But anyway, rambling about this, there's an actual dev diary to read, and probably some of these are probably answered. But the point is,
I imagine we'll get an Amsterdam market. That's something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I bet,
The almost certain reason why it starts in the London market, aka the English British market, is because the English wool trade was absolutely vital to Flanders and Brabant's textile industry.
the staple port and all that, yes. But I would expect that or hope rather, I would hope that it is some very much that would be something that a player can just decide to do. That I want to make my own market, and I'm just playing in Flanders. I want to get out of the British market and take over it. But yes, I will read it. There's enough rambling about that one image.
There's a way for us to get answers to these questions.
Huh. Damn. I'm just listen, I'm paranoid of the whole come back next week when we but that's done for now, I suppose. Because this is finishing off economy, I think. Okay. So each market has a center in a location, and the owner of that location is in control over that market.
But look at the line above that. Countries can create new markets and disband their old if they desire. There's the answer to your question.
Joffrey's question is just getting answered right away.
Through the playthrough as countries can... Oh, because I stopped reading this halfway through the sentence. Oh my god. Breaking down every individual thing so much, I miss important things like that. I feel so silly.
Frame by frame analysis of Tinto's Log 10.
It's crucial! Essential. But yet, countries can create new markets and disband their own if they so desire. So, yes. There's probably going to be an achievement for... You gotta have... What? Wait, how would you... I don't even know if it'd be feasible to do one faith world conquests anymore where you have so many pops. But the point is, you gotta conquer the map, have everything in your market. That's the mission. Have everything in your market. No, shush, Aiden. Leave me. Leave
I think
me
as
alone.
we can see, that might not be a thing.
Oh. Okay. So maybe the farther away you get, even your own realm will just not be in your own market. Ooh.
I expect there to be an achievement, even if it's very, very hard to do the single market. Have all of Europe in a single market.
If you look at the very far east of the map, you can see a contiguous Great Horde that has separate markets. You can see one in Kazan, one in Astrakhan.
Yeah. Astrakhan market, Kaffa market.
Well, Kaffa's Genoa, but...
Dips.
Genoa does not own all that territory, though.
Well, no, but it's in
they control it, is the point.
They own the center.
Yeah, they own the center, but much of the actual territory in the market is by the Horde.
This makes me want, like, so it shows who, like, the flag is who controls the center, but how important is the center to the market? Is it critical. All? It's okay. All right. I suppose.
You'll learn that if you read.
Shut the fuck up! Leave! Why do I even have you here? Just to tell me that I'm doing it wrong? I'm thinking too much? How dare you? How dare! Anyway, each market has a center location, and the owner of that location is in control over that market. So yeah, the center is the most important thing. Wow, I already found out the answer to my musing. Wow!
Once again, Joffrey asks a question, and then it is answered in the exact next line.
2 for 2.
3 for 3? 3 for 3, actually.
No!
The first one was, these are dynamic in change. The second one was, we can create and disband. And now the third.
The first blurb! 3 times I ask a question and then immediately it's answered.
Now, read.
Every location and coastal sea zone will belong to the most fitting market. which depends on the market attraction of the market and the distance, which is the distance between the location and the market center, diplomatic factors, and more. I see. So we have this big old thing. Oh, Hanseatic League is a country.
Gold is both a separate resource that you buy and sell and currency.
Oh, there's the gold. Yeah. Supply, price. Gold is worth 50 gold. That's the same obligation symbol. What is that? What is that doing here? There's a grayed out, like that is the obligation system from Vicky. Huh. Interesting. Oh, there's up and the market trends. Market trends. Oh, so that's what's going on here.
That might be subsidizing sort of thing. The obligation.
Okay, that would make sense. Yeah. And I mean, the up and down arrow is totally just market trends.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it also might just mean that there is none present in the market at all.
And it then has the grayed out
image
that's like you can subsidize it somehow, maybe?
If you look at them, they all have flat prices that don't have the symbol to go up or to go down.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that they are just not present in the market.
There just is no gold
some sort
there,
of buildings or demands that want them. I mean, let's be real. I don't know of any gold mines near where the Riga market is.
Yeah, which makes perfect sense. So they need to buy them some other way, I suppose.
And it's not the climate for growing wine, and I don't think they're making fine cloth up there.
Which is an interesting resource, which perhaps has to do with silk. I don't know.
I'm assuming it's the sort of thing that's like produced in Flanders. You know, take wool, raw resource, turn into cloth, sell it on.
It's probably going to be based off of pop demands and how pops require resources. It's probably going to be nobles that are like, give us the fine cloth.
Yes.
My cloth is too fine for you, traveler.
I need only your strongest, your finest cloth.
My cloth is too fine for you, traveler. You need coarser cloth.
So we have merchant power, merchant capacity. The thing that really stands out here as being interesting and different and not expected is this language Baltic, which is that a market has a language.
I'm assuming it is, by implication, the trade language that dominates in that market.
Mm-hmm.
So educated pops and traders, like burgers and stuff, people whose positions and jobs would have them conducting trade will try to pick up the trade language of the market that they're operating in. And they likely are less efficient when operating in markets they don't know the language. Because an English trader stumbling his way to China without knowing a lick of Chinese probably isn't going to get very far.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is interesting. And you're most definitely you're definitely right about this, because there's the whole language is Baltic. It's the Riga market. That makes sense. Okay, so language in Riga. But Sweden has the most merchant power. So despite Swedish is not the language of the market. The language of the market is determined by the Hanseatic League owning it somehow. I don't know. I don't quite understand how that's working.
Hanseatic League is German. They're not speaking Baltic.
Yeah, that's the thing. But the person who controls it is Riga. Riga is a country that would be speaking Baltic. It's just part of the Hanseatic League.
Well, it's a separate country. If you look at the market map again, you can see that Riga and Lubeck have different flags.
Riga, Lubeck.
Whereas you can see that, for example, both in Kaffa and Genoa, it's the Genoese flag.
The Riga's
The
a separate debt.
Hanseatic League must be a non. It must be one of those countries
It's probably
that
just
isn't a
Lubeck.
land.
No,
That's a
no, we
different
don't
flag.
No, the Hanseatic League will own Lubeck itself.
That is that is not Lubeck's flag.
Wait a minute. Oh, you are right.
It's very similar, but it's different. And people were asking earlier about, there was an earlier dev diary when we first saw Riga, and we first were shown the trade zones. Sort of. We were shown like ocean. It's like, oh, this ocean zone is controlled by the Hanseatic League, but we also saw that Riga had it somehow, and they were somehow the same thing. So somehow Riga having it also meant the Hanseatic League had it. But this is showing, yet again, Lubeck itself is held by someone that is not the League. So this is something else going on. But, yes, I'm sure Riga could produce fine cloth and wine. Yes. The most Mediterranean climate anywhere in Europe, of course. But now, actually read time. The Riga market has control over much of the Baltic region in the start. Yes, lots. Sweden too, yes. A market has merchants who have a power depending on buildings and maritime presence in the market. And a merchant capacity, and the capacity depends on the infrastructure for trade that country has in that market. The merchant power impacts in which order exports from a market are executed, as there is not an endless supply of goods in the market. The merchant capacity is how much the goods the merchant can ship.
So,
Sweden
has the most merchant power, meaning that they get first pick of any goods in the market.
And the League has the most capacity.
So capacity means how many things you can do, I believe.
Mm-hmm. So
how
Sweden
much
gets
product you can move.
Sweden has the choice pickings somehow, and the League has the most capacity for actually moving goods, which is an interesting distinction.
Yeah, so Sweden will do the most buying, but the League will do the most selling, is kind of the implication I'm getting. Because Sweden is by far the one that is purchasing the most goods in the node, but the ones actually moving and selling the goods around is the Hanseatic League.
I mean, surely Sweden would be buying tons of food, for example. So, hence, like, the prices of like wild game, fish, beer. These are all probably things that apply to your food. Tar, which has a pretty hefty price. That's a chunky price. I'm not surprised by that, but yeah, that's probably used for a ton of buildings. So wood's not up there though. Wood's not. Wait. Oh, great. Yeah, it's neither the greatest surplus nor the greatest need. That makes sense. Then wood's probably just somewhere in the middle. It's like, it's around. It's not super expensive. It's not super demanded. There's just enough.
It's also a little different.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Oh bother.
Oh crumbs. The merchant power, yeah.
Crikey, mate.
It's not in the supply. The merchant capacity impacts how much goods the merchants can ship. Yeah. Tar is very edible. Yes, I've tar among tar and fur. Fur is also, yes, because these are all edible goods. You know.
I mean, if you kill the animal that you get the fur from, that's an edible good.
Hanseatic merchant capacity in Riga. Hanseatic contour in Riga. Supply merchant capacity. So a
contour in this context is essentially an office building / a trade outpost.
Okay.
So these are likely buildings that the Hanseatic League has built in other states, since it's a landless entity that gives them
Yeah.
trade power in the region in exchange for some buffs to the province.
It's 100% just a non-landed entity that the certain cities, so some of these cities that are considered part of the Hanseatic League are probably influenced by somehow. I don't know. They probably have some interaction, like maybe
Presumably, yes.
maybe they get cheaper prices from them somehow. Oh.
Yeah, because the Hanseatic League, it waxed and waned. Various cities and merchants came and left
Wait.
over its lifespan. So it makes sense to not have it tied to any one title or tag.
Leader of the Hanseatic League, plus 7.5%. Huh. So many questions. But
Maybe
yes.
it's in the next line.
As you... No, it can't. It's not gonna be. It's not gonna be. As you can see in the market screenshot, every good has a local price and a supply versus demand value. Let's take a look at the... It's not in the next line. It's not.
Maybe it's in the next one.
Beer!
Supply versus demand value as well. Let's take a look at the price of beer. Yes, let's break down beer being expensive. And it has a target price. Yes, and it's slowly drifting towards that. Very slowly drifting towards the target price, I guess. Because it's close to it. So that makes sense. Base price. An effective supply. An effective demand of 10. So it's cheaper than its base price because more supply. That makes sense. Yeah. Ooh, we can see graphs. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god, just like my favorite Paradox game, Victoria 3.
Yeah, except this is probably going to be good. Unlike that game. Yeah.
Whoa, that is conjecture.
That's a very hot take. Everyone loves Vicky. Cheap beer must be paradise. I like that it's got 10 up here. What if the price surpasses 10? they expand the goalpost then. I'm sure they do. There was something like gold was worth 50 or something per unit, so prices change every month.
Love gold.
Everyone loves gold. I mean, you'll be able to use it somehow to mint money. So there's that. That's probably a very good way to produce money. It's just make tons of gold and silver and then print coins. Towards the target price, which depends on supply and demand. Current price stability. Price stability can change throughout the ages as well. Ah, yes. So things like disease. When everyone is sick and dying, it's less stable, I'm sure. Supply and demand. Yes. Supply, of course, yeah, just more RGO output of buildings, base
Not
production, and
that we know
burger
of, Aiden.
trades. They're different currency. No, yeah, I highly doubt that there's any. It's just the ducat gold pieces, arbitrary unit to signify money. There just has been something that was shown earlier where there was a slider that shows how much you're minting. And the more you mint, the more gold you mint, the more money you were making from the gold that you produce. But you also gain more inflation. So that's what I'm referring to. Base production, of course. Yeah, very simple concept. Supply and demand. Just more stuff, less expensive. Base production, though, I suppose that is interesting. Goods like clay, lumber, sand, and stone are produced in every market. It's just around, yeah. Even if an RGO with that raw material can produce much more. And there are buildings that can be built to provide these as well. Your burgers will trade on their own. Okay, if they have capacity for it. They will attempt to address the needs within a market and can trade in a slightly shorter range, thus enriching their estate. There are laws and privileges that impact them, like the trade monopolies estate privilege, which we saw the impact of earlier. Yeah, the Hanseatic League has granted in the earlier screenshot. Again, just before I say it, which reduces their own merchant capacity, but it increases the burghers by 100%. Okay. So that's a really neat example of something where you can then give more power to the estates if you want them to be able to manage stuff, which I'm sure is going to be a big deal early game for most countries.
Take care of my trade for me. I don't want to bother.
If you don't have
Every
as much power,
king be like.
Yep. I highly doubt that for a lot of the early game, it will be a bad idea to have that. I'm sure that trade monopolies are going to be very good for a long time. Well, I mean, maybe. Who knows? I don't know. The fact that, like, maybe, because it penalizes you by 25%, but it increases the burghers by 100. It literally doubles their capacity. So if you've got strong burghers, that's probably very good if you need more demand. That's probably like the equivalent of an EU4 when you give privileges to increase your governing capacity to the estates, where you just need more help. You just can't manage it. But, I don't know. Just print more gold? What could go wrong? Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's caused problems for anyone before, having too much currency. I don't think that, I'm pretty sure that when Mansa Musa was dispensing gold to everyone on his Hajj, everyone was happy.
Also pay no attention to the Spanish economy after they got all the silver from South America.
Everyone was just fine. There were no issues at all. Yes, of course.
I mean, really, the issue was that the Spanish crown proceeded to spend all that damn money on pointless endeavors, like building a massive fleet that gets wrecked in a storm.
Should have spent it on other pointless endeavors instead.
Like castles.
Like bigger churches.
There's that one Bavarian guy who built a ton of castles and stuff, and they didn't all barely any of them got finished. Yes, what about demand? This is primarily from the maintenance, input, and construction of buildings. That makes sense. Yeah, because we did see earlier when it was talking about buildings that they will all have stuff they need to upkeep. Recruiting and maintaining. That's right. Yeah, armies need to be maintained as well with material resources. So, I wonder if they'll have a population maintenance just passively. That would be funny.
Probably. Pops are probably going to demand things like clothes and all that.
No, all the pops shall go naked. We shall convert to adamantism.
Oh no. But yeah, earlier, yes, you two were I know Vector was specifically talking about the example of fine cloth. Maybe these Flemish clothiers that you love to talk about so much.
So
maybe they're just so good that they make the fine cloth. Ooh.
Fine cloth is probably not going to be made in Flanders. I imagine fine cloth is what you get from silk and maybe cotton, not from wool.
That's what I expect as well. I think that is going to be... I think that's a distinction that is made for just the higher quality stuff that does not take some just level of skill.
My mind is that things like silk would be classified as like luxury cloth. So you'd have 3 gradients, the basic level to get clothes done. Then you have higher quality production, but it's, wool and such. And then you have the really expensive and exotic type of cloth. Remember, they said they're having 70 types of trade good.
But even Vicky 3 only has 2 types of clothes. I think.
Clothes and fine clothes, yeah.
Yeah. I would not be surprised. Maybe they have more in this, and it's like maybe the clergy just needs the fine stuff, and the nobles want the really expensive stuff. But as soon as you go into a case of just making it even more niche, then
No one's
it
gonna win.
becomes really
Because
hard to have the
I
demand set up
think
properly.
if you have 3 levels and it's just like only the nobles buying the top level, obviously all the peasants buy the lower level, then the middle level's sort of pointless.
It's just the burger one, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Or what each one will purchase depends on their availability and their access. For example, a nobleman in Norway may not have access to silk in the early 1400s, so they'll buy,
Hmm.
fine cloth that's made of wool instead. No, it depends on the level of logic that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
I mean, we just don't have enough knowledge.
Because when you're speaking about it like that, how Europe doesn't have access to the silk at this point, right? Oh wait, no, Constantinople hasn't been taken yet.
Yeah, so there's a small European supply,
Yeah.
but it's not.
That might well be actually how it
Stable.
works then. Is it just like, yeah, if Constantinople gets taken, then there's this huge issue of getting trade from the east, and it's like, how the fuck do we get silk? I want silk and spice.
You will eat your gruely bread, and you will like it.
We've had nothing but spaghetti bread for 3 stinking days. Huh. Bad profit for maintenance. Yep. Trades themselves impact supply and demand. Okay. Use your merchant supply in a market to either export a good from that market or import a good from another market. Of course, that market needs to be within your trade range, which is not world spanning in 1337. Okay.
Damn, you're saying
Yeah.
I can't just like import all of the Chinese silk and the Indonesian spice directly into the Baltic Sea day one?
How am I going to get my anime? I'm going to suffer withdrawal.
Anime
All the
is just a
anime
trade
production.
good.
There's a mod for that in Viki. I did see there was a mod for that where someone made anime a production you can make in Japan.
Special building that requires Japanese culture to make.
Something like that. I don't know exactly how it
anime.
worked. But I'm sure there's some way like you can probably transfer goods. I assume that's what this is about to explain. Before I get caught again, I assume this is about to explain how goods can get traded from one market to another, perhaps. Because you need to somehow get the resources from China to Europe without it all being one continuous market, because that's just not how trade works.
I'm assuming the way it's going to work is, so you have the market in China, then you have the market in, say, Samarkand, and so you have the trade market in Samarkand import from China. So now the Samarkand market has silk being imported. Then you have somebody in the Persia market import from Samarkand at a higher price because now it's going through 2 trade nodes, each of them exacting their own price. And then from Persia, you get the Baghdad trade market, then the Antioch/Aleppo trade good, each of them importing silk from each one higher up the trade, each one increasing the cost until you reach, the end point where it's essentially too expensive to realistically import any, to continue that chain on, which I imagine would be essentially how you simulate the Silk Road, because that's exactly how it worked. It wasn't a single trader carrying silk or spices the whole way from Constantinople to Nanjing. It was traders doing one leg of the journey, selling. That trader takes it to the next one, charges a higher price, so on and so forth. That's why the prices become so exorbitant by the time they get to for these exotic Eastern goods. And why it was such a big deal to find an oversea route where you can just load it all up in a single trader, in a single ship, sail it back without all the intermediaries.
Hence, Genoa and Kaffa. Genoa has the Kaffa market here. And there's got to be some way that Genoa gets the resources from the Kaffa market to Genoa with minimal interference. But like I guess Constantinople, because the market, like the interior ocean of the Inland Sea, it's just not even.
Get a lot of trade concessions from the Byzantines in this time.
Yeah. I am very sure that like the Byzantines don't even have a navy. I was talking with Valar a bunch about that, but like the Byzantines don't even have a navy. They rely on Genoa for that. So Genoa probably has a huge stranglehold over the straits at this point.
Yeah, but Johan mentioned, it's either in the diary or in one of his comments later on, I can't remember, but he does mention that the sound tolls are a thing, and you can negotiate about whether you have to pay the sound tolls or not in the Baltic. I'm assuming things like the Bosphorus would be similar.
Yeah, he mentioned the Bosphorus. It's also probably going to be for like Gibraltar too and whatnot.
Fair.
Yeah, the films.
Very interesting. That's a good old excuse for people to come in with their navy and just bully people to say, nope, I'm not paying. You're gonna let me through. My navy's stronger.
The market. Stop having it be closed.
I miss.
They mentioned that in this.
No, the gunboat diplomacy. Stop having it be closed.
People having locked markets, but you can negotiate to have an opening, like a trade port in them, like the Dutch and Japan.
Please,
or
yes.
China in its splendid isolation period.
Cow.
Well then.
Oh yeah, I suppose since technically the timeline is going until the 1830s. I mean, it's a little early for the Opium Wars, but China was definitely in that mindset by the end of the time. So,
however, we're gonna see. However, China's gonna function in this because there's been at least a couple Chinas between the start and end of this game. So
we're currently on Qing. Not Qing. We're currently on Yuan.
We're on Yuan.
Then it's
Qing. And that's not even if you include, the various revolter dynasties like the Shang.
So who knows how that's going to work, if they're even going to set up a system for that at all. Trade. But yes, I assume that when I read this, a trade is probably going to talk about transporting stuff between markets. A trade is a variable amount of goods shift from one market to another market, purchasing it for the local price in the exporting market. The longer the distance between the markets, the more capacity each good will require to ship, and the higher the maintenance costs will be. So exactly what we were just rambling about with, as it continues along, it gets prohibitively more expensive, and eventually the nobles in Europe are paying out the nose for some fancy clothes that are cheap as they come to every clerk in China by comparison. Trades have an impact on the last land location they are in before leaving the market, and the first one they enter in the importing market, giving boosts in development to them over time. Trade always
major trade entry port,
which I assume is what makes when a center of trade is determined, like the center of a market, what ends up making it such a crucial location, where that ends up being the place where the resources enter and leave as often as not. And here we go. Speak of the devil, yet again he shall appear. Riga market, exporting through Riga. London market, exporting through London. It goes from Riga to London. It does not mention stuff on the way. It does not mention going through other markets, interestingly. But it does mention sound tolls.
Well, yeah, which are in the Lubeck trade.
Very curious.
Has to trace a path, and that path goes through the strait.
but
yeah,
it doesn't.
So the merchant maintenance is likely being calculated based off that distance, because as he said, it traces it on the map. So
but it does.
that is essentially simulating that notion of distance increasing cost.
But it does
In this
not.
case, the merchant maintenance is relatively low because it's all taking place overseas.
Mm-hmm. The sound tolls are way more expensive than that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the sound tolls were very lucrative for Denmark.
I'm
So
sure.
Look at how much profit they'd be making without it. They'd be making 10 in profit.
Yeah, Denmark's going to probably be making a ton of money from this, I'm sure. And then,
Denmark technically doesn't even exist at this start date.
Well, who
It's
has
like
it?
split into. Well, I'm interested how they'll portray Denmark, because Denmark is like split into
Alright,
three parts.
back to the
it's
map.
Like a weird civil war regency shit going on.
Well, back to this map, you see there's Holstein.
Yeah. Well,
There's
yeah, the actual Kingdom
this.
of Denmark looks like it's being portrayed as unified.
Yeah.
I suppose they'll just start with a really shitty regency mechanic.
I just realized, looking at this, that the colors probably actually mean something. I wasn't thinking about that, but like the gradient of color in the market, the darker it goes is probably market access somehow.
Or perhaps the influence that trade center has in that region, meaning that the darker tiles are easier to flip to another market's pressure.
One of those two things, for sure, is the concept being simulated here, where the places that see along the coast, this is all very solidly in the Kaffa market.
Yeah,
it looks like
the Lubeck and the London nodes, I think, really show off that notion of the coastline remaining quite lit up.
London out here it's becoming more gray though, which makes sense. There wouldn't be as much naval activity going on out west. Is that not even on my screen? I'm not even showing it on the stream. That
the westernmost edge, yeah, in the Irish Sea, we can't see it. There we go.
Just share the whole screen. Yeah, the westernmost edge of it is becoming more gray, but there's no way, based on where London market is written here, that there is an Irish market. So it's just
an Irish market could emerge and become a competing power center.
I'm very sure that in this context, because it's just there's very little. It's exactly what I was getting at. Is that I am certain that some Irish person could unite Ireland and then say, screw you, we're making our own market, and you pick your Irish coastal settlement of choice, and this is now the new Irish market, and then you start yoinking trade from the various parts of Britain and having good old economic warfare.
Looking at Central Europe, there's a really dark band in southern Germany that I think is perfectly right for either the Swiss or one of the Swabian free cities.
Yeah.
Or maybe even Frankfurt, although that's a bit farther north.
Frankfurt's kind of gray too.
Create one.
This is like Frankfurt here, I think, somewhere around here.
Yeah, something in that area.
So yeah, I very much expect. I totally think you could, because the Swabians had a league of some sort.
Yeah, the Swabians.
So I would not be surprised at all if the Swabians could unite as some sort of some sort of league. Like they could probably do their league thing and then make this into its own trade zone somehow. Because there is a lot of land here over the mountains that is like, I mean, it's more connected to Genoa. It's just so cool from an RP standpoint to just look at this and say, oh, this makes perfect sense. I can see how this plays out. And they've got math that figures all this out. Like with Genoa here, you go over the Alps. This is all in the Genoese node, same as Venice, because it's closer and more in control than it is to Prague or Cologne. But just a little bit. And there's so many different things that could probably influence that. It makes me very excited to mess around with that and have some fun. As Genoa, like, try to destroy the Naples market, for example, somehow. I don't know. Just
Obviously,
cool.
we have to stop. We have to stop the Neapolitans before they create pizza.
That's right.
Because we'll never hear the end of because the American colonies will never hear the end about how we don't have real pizza if the Neapolitans are allowed to exist.
Everyone I've met who has been to Italy has told me that Neapolitan pizza is not great.
I've never actually tried it.
I forget what it was. Damn. I wish I remembered what people were telling me it was. There was something about its style. Maybe it was too thin? I don't know. I like dense pizza, but whatever. Wait, cancel trade. Oh, stop importing tar. That's what this is. Stop importing tar from there. We found a better source of tar that doesn't require us to pay out the nose at the sound toll. We found it in Paris. The French are not at war with us anymore. We're friends, and they are producing tar for us. How kind. You know, that's sort of, I don't know, maybe we're producing our own tar now. Screw you. But here we go. The sound tolls. If you pass through Oresund or the Bosphorus, to consider. Does not say Gibraltar. This is sad. This is sad.
There was a comment that mentioned the Strait of Malacca, though. So
the Strait of Malacca? Huh.
That was a huge business in the medieval period for the Indonesian kingdoms.
Makes
the entire
sense.
Region that the Kingdom of Malacca rose was because it controlled that strait.
Well, then I'm sure that Gibraltar counts. Because if Gibraltar doesn't count, it's like, what? If something as wide as Malacca, because, I mean, yeah, of course, that makes perfect, even in real life, I say real life, even in the modern era, it's very crucial to trade. Surely something like Gibraltar will count.
Yeah, and surely artificial ones as well, like if we make the Panama or the Suez.
Oh, please.
Similarly.
Make them early.
Please let us make them and make them actually useful. Oh my gosh, imagine having the Suez Canal in this game. Wow, you could just strangle some trade like that. Oh, all of the trade going around, because that's so much trade that would be navally going around Africa.
I mean,
and then you just yoink it.
I mean, in the modern day, the tariffs on ships passing through the Suez makes up, like, I don't remember the exact number, but I think it's like a third of the Egyptian government's revenue is just on the tariffs of the Suez.
That's fantastic.
You better hope that a boat doesn't turn sideways in it.
Oh, those are some.
That was. It apparently cost the Egyptian government like something in the range of billions of dollars, that delay, for that exact reason.
Yeah, I love seeing it. Like, when you see an image of that, it's just crazy. Ship gets turned, it's stuck. You have to unstick it. All these boats are backed up. How do you get this shipping unstuck? Ah! Want to start as somebody someplace in Europe and sail around Africa to more directly trade with India and China. Peacefully, of course, yes. And then you know what I'm going to do, James? While you're doing that, I'm going to be playing as Egypt, and I'm going to be speed running the ability to build the Suez Canal, however you do that. And then I'm going to steal all your money. All of your hopes will turn to ash.
Don't worry, James. In about 500 years, he'll start siphoning your income.
No, I'm going to do it now.
Well,
be quiet.
It's actually not that insane, because there actually was an Egyptian canal that connected the Red Sea with the Nile, called the Canal of the Pharaohs. So it wasn't quite to the same level as the Suez Canal, and I don't think it worked quite as well. But it was something that was done literally before the Roman Empire. So yeah, I think
China.
It should be doable.
China does canals all the time on their rivers.
The Grand Canal. That's right. That should be a thing.
I imagine that China. Ooh, Oh, that's got to be something that would be super fun. I bet Chinese gameplay in regards to like trade and control over your realm is going to be really cool because you probably have to deal with like making canals and establishing dams and trading up the rivers and just centralizing your control along those rivers. That's probably a big deal, and I imagine that would be a lot of fun to deal with. Central to making sure your realm doesn't fall apart. As well as corruption and not letting people with no peepees run everything. But, you know, that's how it be.
And beware the Mongolian throat singing. You know,
Oy,
you are the Mongolian throat singers at game start.
It's only temporary. Everyone becomes Chinese eventually after they've conquered it.
We'll see about that.
No, Dark. You can't. You can't. No. That's probably not going to work at all in EU5. Like cultural conversion on such a mass scale. How like that's really hard to do that in Imperator.
I imagine it'll be something to do with
That's
literacy rate and you know, trade connections. I imagine it's going to be much more kind of in the background, sort of. It's not because this isn't the Victorian era where we have nationalism fomenting. This is still the, you know, the Middle Ages where language and culture was a bit more fluid and could swap and could change and could meld a bit more easily. So, yeah, I'm curious to see how they handle it. You know, assimilation.
See, I imagine
distinct identity.
I imagine yet again on the subject of China, you know, James being China when it gets conquered by barbarian horde number one, because those people come in and conquer. They're outnumbered by the locals. The trade is all being done in Chinese. So like the local trade language, all of that sort of thing, it's so important. So I'm sure that in the context of the London market as well, which we were talking about with like there's no Irish market, I'm sure that already at this stage, it's a very good point. I think that's very interesting. Already the London market being like this, where it has such a control, I bet that there would be some cultural conversion towards English in places that England does not control, but has a solid grip of in its market, and there's lots of trades being done. Because up in Scotland, there's Scottish countries, however this diplomatically looks. There's countries up here that are not England, that are going to be trading with England.
I think England actually owned more of Ireland at this time than they did at 1444.
The lordship of Ireland, yes.
Oh dear.
They didn't have the whole island.
They held most of it, and what they didn't hold were kind of semi-tributaries, I believe. It was weird.
But it fell apart.
So at least at the start,
it fell apart after Richard I went on his crusade, and then John, who was Lord of Ireland, returned to, you know, be Prince John, and the Irish revolted, I believe, was. I can't remember. It's been a long.
This really is going to be a case of England being even more powerful than it is in 1444, but it's just losing that power.
Oh yeah, this is
got
England's
so much
game.
land.
This is very much England's game to lose in 1330s.
I would not.
I love that description.
If we see some Victoria divergences of darkness action and see a dual monarchy forming some semi-consistently,
I would not be surprised too.
There were several points where the English had a dominant upper hand in the 100 Years' War, and then they flubbed it, or the French got lucky, and all their, and some cases of the reverse. But all it takes is one or two of those instances to go completely different. You have England and France united into a super realm.
There's so much interesting stuff to look at in this image and just speculate on things like that, where you have like, oh, Normandy is in the Paris market. Oh, that's interesting. There's the Bordeaux market, which is it is primed to get extinguished. This market is like,
gonna get extinguished. Look at Ragusa.
Yeah,
I think
the Venetians are just staring at it with intent to fuck it.
okay, fair. But Bordeaux is the sort of one that would get scrunched if France actually does okay. If England does good, it probably is going to get bigger. And of course Normandy gets yoinked because like into London, like it's already, Aquitaine is in it. Anjou, not Aquitaine. Aquitaine's down there. Anjou would get yoinked back into the Paris or something, or maybe Normandy. You got Calais on the map.
I'm just looking at Anjou. Like, wow, these guys really think it's a better idea to cross Normandy than cross the channel into London than just go to Paris.
Yes.
They've been to Paris before. They know what they're doing.
Listen, it's the Angevin Empire. They're not trading with the French. This is a statement being made.
They are the French.
No! Well, yes, but also no. I love watching that video where we're just tearing apart the whole... like, now the English king who spends so much time in Anjou. It's so funny. I wonder, at this point in time, the English kings may well be French culture. Imagine.
Yeah, they're more Frenchies than English at this point.
I now want to play as England in this so badly and just convert and like work on culturally converting England to French culture.
Wow, classic Joff wants to play the OP country.
The OP country? Ugh. But England's gonna lose. You gotta hold them together.
I mean, we've already got the frickin' Anglois culture in EU4 now, so I expect it to be a thing in this one too.
Who I actually really want to play? I'm gonna want to play like someone in the Hanseatic League and take over. That's what I want to do. I want to play as the Hanseatic League, take over that, or manage like to become a centralized state as the Crusaders. There's still pagans here. I'm pretty sure that Lithuania is still pagans.
Some parts
that
of
would be
Lithuania
really
are
fun.
still pagan, yeah.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yes, there's a chance to crusade for God and Church.
No, there's a chance to crusade for Perun. You fool!
Oh yes.
Reverse crusade. We need the funny like side. See, it's the Lovecraft symbol, but tilted upwards.
Funny the symbol go.
Gonna play as Wales and reconquer the lost lands from the English for the Celts. Yes, I'm sure that will be so. Actually, in the 100 Years' War, when that kicks off, maybe you'll have a decent time. Might be very doable when England is in trouble. But time to read some more of this. Sound tolls, yes. Diplomacy and trade. Oh boy, I'm very curious because I very much want to. That is the really big one. I really want to play Genoa and just be mean to everyone. I wanna just be an awful person and steal all of the trade coming from Kaffa. I wanna just usurp Constantinople. I wanna just have the Byzantines wrapped around my finger.
All right, Scrooge. We get the message.
Yes!
Just wants money.
I do! There are many diplomatic factors that impact the trade and market mechanics in Project Caesar. Yes, of course. Project Caesar. I nearly forgot. First of all, you could deny market access. So embargo, I suppose. to a nation owning a market, which will reduce the attraction of their markets on your locations, but also make anyone with merchants in those markets upset with you. Yeah. You can also request and or offer market access preference, making it likelier for a country's locations to belong in a certain market. So I suppose, yeah, England, you could just embargo France is the idea, and Normandy will be less likely to be in the Paris market. Though there is, it's so interesting to see the whole, like, there's even a little bit of Normandy that isn't, and then Anjou. Why did my headphones just disconnect?
We can hear you.
Oh, it's back. That was weird. It just disconnected and reconnected. Very strange. If you dislike paying sound tolls, yes, I do. I want to be the one getting the money from the sound tolls. You can always try to ask for pretty please exemption through diplomacy with the country controlling the strait. That's going to be such a thing in multiplayer.
Oh yeah, the EU4 multiplayer already gets super cutthroat over controlling trade. This is going to make it about 100 times worse.
It's like, who controls Denmark? Who controls the strait there? It's just, that's gonna be so toxic. And so you take, oh my god, imagine a bloody Lord of the Rings EU5 mod where you have Belfalas. The toll of Belfalas or the islands. It's got to be one of them. You can't make it all. It's got to be. You can't make all of them different ones. It's got to be like one spot. So you got to either pick Belfalas or maybe it's Tolfalas. Yeah, that's the island. Yeah, not Belfast. The island of Tolfalas or like Lebanon. Maybe it would be Lebanon. That might be the biggest one with the whole trade. But like somewhere in there is along the Anduin is a would be just a horrible toll. I bet you can change the price of the tolls too. I wonder what other tolls there might be at game start. Anyway. Some countries have isolated themselves completely. Yes, as you guys were talking about. So you need to negotiate a specific exemption to allow you to import or export to their markets. Yeah. Playing as Dutch or the Portuguese. Heading over to Japan. Oh, I got hiccups now. Great. You want to ask them nicely to open up. Please, pretty please, let us in. We want to sell you guns. Would you like to buy guns? Also the possibility to embargo a country. Oh, that's different then. So embargoing is different from denying market access. Embargoing a country which would block the merchants of that country from trading in your markets and also not be allowed to move through your country. Oh. That means, whoa. So that means you wouldn't, if you embargo someone, that's actually really interesting. So again, straight, if you embargo someone as Denmark, they literally just can't trade through that. If you embargo,
that is when you get declared war on.
Yeah, that's when problems start for sure. It's a legit casus belli, and yeah, in EU4, you embargo someone, it's like, yeah. It's annoying. It's like, oh, well, I'll just embargo them back. Get power projection. In EU5, it's going to be...
I completely forget to even embargo people in EU4.
It's such a non-thing. But in EU5, yeah, if you need to trade with England for their wool or something, yeah, if England's making all that wool, everyone wants to buy it or something, I don't know. Suddenly you can't because you can't go through Denmark now. Yeah, we're gonna be marching over to the streets for sure for that one. So use with care, yes. Other aspects to trade. Each market has specific goods banned for export or import. One common example being that Muslim markets will ban the import or export of wine, beer, and liquor. Oh, that's very cool. And totally
Alright,
not
time
setting
to,
up for the Opium Wars, eh?
Time to ban anime from the market.
That's right. No anime is not allowed. It must be contained to Japan. No other markets must be allowed to access it.
When people wonder why we're 2 centuries behind Japan, we'll know who to blame.
Because of anime.
Yeah?
Yeah, because of the anime ban.
This is... And in the history record, in the records they marked, this is a grave mistake for Portugal when they banned the trading of anime because they could not share in the great Japanese golden age that came. Yes, the Muslims don't do the alcohol thing. Mentioned in an earlier Tinto talk that markets will have stockpiles so that surplus can be stored for a rainy day. There are buildings that will increase the amount that can be stored. There is also food in the markets, which with price adapting to the supply and demand of food as well. The amount of food that is currently sitting in the stockpiles of the Riga market. Of Riga Market's market. What splendid wording! The top 5 food producers. Grodno. Upland. Really? Food produce Upland? Upland and these are not places that I would imagine being big food producers. I would imagine that Upland, because that's... I would assume that is what Stockholm is called. So... And of course, Riga. Huh. I don't know what to think about that. Them being producers.
They consume.
Oh. Königsberg is a big old consumer. Consume. And Dorpat, of course. That also makes sense, but I'm just a little surprised. And yeah, Stockholm is...
and Dorpat.
I don't like that. I don't like Dorpatty and Dorpat. I don't like that because it confirms my fears about the de facto borders here. They're just as horrible as they look, because that means that, like,
I wonder, does Denmark
one of these
still own Estonia in this time period?
Yep.
Yeah, it's supposed to own a little bit there in the...
This is Denmark. This is Denmark land. Yeah, Stockholm is an upland, alright. But yeah, that's just a little confusing, because I would have imagined it to be a food consumer, but... Whatever. We'll see. We'll see later. Get our hands on it eventually. Gotland. Big food producer. Fish, I guess.
Gotland forever.
I would not be surprised. Wait. This is something about Gotland and Sweden. Huh.
I believe it's Västra Gotland is Sweden's breadbasket.
Oh! Bad AI.
Opera.
You've known I use
Just
Opera for a long
paste
time.
it into Google Translate.
I'd never told it to translate something for me like that before, so I just imagined that it would be a little more convenient than opening up whatever the fuck that was.
No.
Västergotland in English. Okay.
You could just type in translate, and then you can just put it in where it says detect language.
Fine.
Well, it's already there.
There.
Yeah, literally, it's
Western.
Västergotland is Sweden's greater grain.
Western Gotland.
Yeah. So it means that's Sweden's grain.
Western Gotland specifically is where the food is coming from.
Western Gotland is not the island of Gotland. It's part of Western Sweden.
But it says Vasta Gotland, which
Gotland.
Go look up the province.
Oh, wow!
Gotland is southern Sweden.
Such creative names. Wow. I don't. Gotaland right next to Gotland. Harumph.
Well, technically speaking, the island of Gotland is part of Gotland.
Sweden's all split up. Part of Sweden's in Lubeck. I didn't think about that. Sweden has no market of its own. Neither does Denmark. Tragic.
He actually mentions in a comment farther down how if and when Sweden makes one, it will probably be in Gothenburg.
Next week we'll be talking about mercenaries, levies, and regulars. Woo!
Uh-oh.
The military is coming.
I can't wait to see a front-line system so I can go take a 30-minute shower while I'm at work.
That's right. Yep. What you don't want your knights to do a breakthrough? Gotta.
Oh wait, you thought that you were moving units around on the map like they said? Well, the units move around on the map. You just don't get to be the one to move them.
Oh, you're not talking about front lines like you are in fact saying Victoria. Oh no. But yeah, I'm not sure. But by look at all the regions of Sweden, Armas, do you mean like actually search up the provinces of Sweden with? Is that what you mean?
I presume so. So you know what Western Gotland is.
Look for a map. Oh, gross. You know what? I kind of want to find out where that is now, actually. The north, that western corner, Gothenburg, which I thought, yeah, that is solidly, like that is like that border is precisely in the Lubeck market.
Not precisely. Småland is a bit split between the two. Sorry, I'm throwing out Swedish stuff.
I mean specifically this region, Västra Gotland.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly follow it though.
Looks pretty concise to me.
It's in there, but the border does not follow the province because it continues on a bit east of it in the south.
Oh well, yeah. Like there's more stuff in the Lubeck market than just that province, but yeah. Well, that. Oh yeah, automation options where you can assign trading completely to the AI, and you can also lock some trades so the AI will not interfere with them. Stay tuned for next week. Yes. But no, we will not have Vicky 3 war mechanics. I will not be pleased.
I'm so looking forward to Victory War mechanics. They're so good.
No, it's not.
They will
be
complete this game.
It's not. It's not. It's funny that he
like place an army in a region, and then you tell it like in order, conquer this area, and then you just watch the AI do
We
it.
get it.
He really doesn't like it. Yeah.
Yes, I've gotten the message.
Stop, he's already dead. Oh boy. Well.
Now get moving, Joffrey. You have 5 pages of comments.
No!
Chop, bucko.
Oh, so much stuff.
That should not be possible. Next.
In theory, that should be possible. Manipulate the markets so my lands fall somewhere in between. Yeah, you could. Yeah, because Sweden's like that at GameStar. What's happening in Scotland? Civil war between England. Edward.
No.
Civil war between Edward. Okay.
Bruce died recently. Died in like 29. Oh, this is so sad.
What? Why not? No.
Edward Balliol was a claimant to the Scottish throne during the Second War of Scottish Independence. With English help, he ruled parts of the kingdom from 1332 to 1356.
Alright, so yeah, England is
England is
I know,
backing an
good.
invasion of Scotland at this point, basically.
Okay. So it's a claimant that... It is a claimant who's trying to take over Scotland. Wait. Does that mean the claimant? The pretender to the throne is backed by England. Is that what you're saying? Okay. So currently Scotland's independent, but if they lose this war, England will vassalize them is the idea. That makes sense, yeah.
Well, or at least they'll have much more influence like they used to have over Scotland. You know,
we'll have to see.
Before the whole freedom Braveheart happened.
I would not be surprised then if they just represent it like with Scotland being just straight up independent, unless that war is won by the pretender, because of the way Burgundy works in EU4, for example. You know, just
I wouldn't
nominal independence. But and they already have Wales. We'll see.
And most of Ireland.
Most of Ireland, yeah, they're going to be big. Yeah, one way or another. Some goods are heavier than others on a boat, I guess. Well, what a surprise. The horses are heavy. What happens if you have a war with someone in your own market? It's just a war. It's just a war. You can...
Alright, horses might be heavy, but what if you load the goods on the horses, and then you put the horses on the ship, so the horses carry the goods? It's like infinite money glitch.
This is like that thing we were talking
Moving
about the
on.
other day, where someone was talking about how in 5e Goliaths can carry a medium-sized creature while also being a medium-sized creature. Centaur, yeah, that's what it was. And you could do jank with that, which is just
A centaur is a medium-sized creature that can carry medium-sized creatures, so you can have a centaur stack.
Yeah, had a fantastically stupid thing that I would not allow. The Lowlands dependent on English trade at the time. We had separate markets before, but removed it as the Lowlands got too small and weak. Oh! As London, Cologne, and Lubeck would become stronger. Huh. So, with these setups markets you see now is 110% likely to not be what they get. Okay, so it's just not gonna be what it looks like on release. They're not even gonna pretend it is, but that's interesting.
Because I imagine they're still trying to bat around, what are the most natural setups.
What's the most natural and what, like, if it's a case of this thing always has, so they, like they're saying that they had it being different. There was an Amsterdam one originally, but it just always got deleted right away. So, things like that, we might see some of them just getting removed or tweaked because of things like that, where they just always get killed right away anyway, so it's pointless. My sound tools only limited. Straights. Currently straights only. Markets around France. Some areas, not wastelands, not their own partner by market. Just wastelands. The stars inside market centers got no clue what they are. He doesn't even know. Johan doesn't know. I don't know what that is. Stars in a market center? I didn't do that. People laughing. That's, yeah. He's just been such a he just knows the answer to everything, so it's funny. Differentiating the land and sea color in the trade map. That looks fine to me. That looks fine and readable to me. I don't.
Yeah, I agree with Johan's point.
Why? Yeah, I want to know. Like all of these are very similar colors. For example, it's like I don't want to get confused. Just it's fine. Yeah. Obviously doesn't matter. Only the market access does. Definitely makes me want to make a mod. The number of starting markets has tripled more. Not super much performance, but consider the AI creates and disbands markets depending on what is optimal for them. Yeah, it makes me wonder if Johan has tried, like if he's messed around with anything like that. He doesn't have much time to do such messing around things, but it makes me very curious. Yeah, since the AI creates and disbands them, so what if the AI, if you just give them a ton of markets, would they just disband a bunch of them? Would the AI very quickly be like, this is not actually useful. We don't have the resources required to make this work, so we're getting rid of it. Yeah. How will goods travel from markets? Ships and caravans. Building infrastructure. Markets can take the land of other markets. Yes, they can grow and shrink. I'm so happy. It's just so, I'm so incredibly happy with this. I need to stress all of this stuff that I've read has made me so excited and incredibly happy with this. Oh boy. Can market be moved? Oh, yeah. Can the market center be moved? Creating a woman disbanding it. Could the Hamburg create that moves the market from Lübeck to Hamburg? Yeah. You can manually move your market to another location you own inside the market. Huh. So if you move from Lübeck to Hamburg, you're likely to get reduced access in Norway and Sweden, but may get different bit. Huh. That's very interesting, yeah. Because I would have imagined. I'm a little confused actually with how much like importance the sound told. I know that like Lübeck for one reason or another is the most significant point of trade in that region, but I'm just a little confused. It isn't Shelland, because of the toll going through that area. I would have thought that it would be the more significant region, but it's not. How would the CK3 fan base in general react to Paradox clogging? Yeah. The Vicky 3 more mechanics in a CK3?
Well, it
yeah.
makes absolutely zero sense in the context of CK3. So
it could not be done.
Incredibly skeptical they would do it.
Yeah, it just wouldn't work. But they would, it would, if they somehow made a similar system work in the context of CK3, no one would be happy at all. You know what I would actually be happy with, is if they imported what it seems like they're doing for EU4, EU5, into CK3, because I really don't like the war system in CK3 either, but I have a really good feeling about EU5s. Can a country own multiple markets like Bordeaux? Because yeah, England owns Bordeaux. How does France? Which makes me wonder about the colors, because you've got Bordeaux, which is this. It's like this. London's the more red color, which is probably very much like what England's color on the map is, and then you've got the more salmony, faded, pinkish color
It's
down here.
Probably based on the color of the nation and not exactly the color, because if you look at once again the Golden Horde,
yeah,
you can see 3 that they own.
Because presumably, like, I mean, regardless of whether this color here for Kaffa is taken from Genoa or the Great Horde, it's the same vague color. So, yeah, that's probably the case. So, I mean, yeah, it's probably just taken Bordeaux's color. It's either because it's England's PU or Bordeaux is just a similar color. I mean, with that flag, it's probably a pretty similar color. You can own as many markets as you want. Usually beneficial to have a single one. Yeah, I imagine so. A significantly sized one that provides you with enough resources. Yeah. Fading of locations on the map represent market accessibility? Yes, it does. Wonderful. So, yes. All these places on the edge, which it makes perfect sense. The places on the edge of the markets are the ones that are most distant and most likely to potentially get flipped. But I am sure that as the game progresses, some of the border regions in some of these may be more locked down than they are at the moment. Where I'm sure you can make certain buildings that will make it more concrete. Hope the EU5 war mechanics don't suck, because what you've been told. Yeah. War in Paradox games has never been its selling point. It's all the things that go... Oh, that's true. Yes, that
game literally is just war.
Yes, Hearts of Iron is just war. And its war is pretty darn good, from what I understand. With flaws, of course.
It's all right.
But you know... I've got hopes for EU5. Fish is a good RGO. Hoping it's not an RGO. Fish is a trade. It's both an RGO and an output from buildings. Okay, yeah. So it's a place where it's like this location just produces fish. It's just what the RGO is, and then you could also make a building on a coastal settlement to produce fish as well. I imagine that makes perfect sense. That's actually a very elegant way to answer a question I've had for a while. I forget about Hawaii 4 a surprising amount, honestly. It's a very popular game, but I always forget about it for some reason.
I think it's the most popular Paradox game at the moment.
Yep. And yet I always forget about it somehow. Not sure how I feel about needing to manually select. You don't need to manually do it. Unless you make your country into trader nation. Yeah, you don't need to... Oh... No, what? I don't want to quote reply it. No, there. Good. Yes, if you're not a trader-focused nation, you don't need to care so much. So, because some do fully automated, some do country and situation. Yep. Makes sense. The min-maxers will have a field day with micromanaging every inch of it, I'm sure. Killing burger pops doesn't... I mean, killing any pop would have a negative impact on trade. People dying is not good for business. People fighting is good for business, though. It's a balance. Yeah, another same question. We'll trade good chains across the markets. Spices in London, spaces near... Yeah. You are not forced to buy from a neighboring market. Yeah, because you can... That's right, yeah. There was showing buying stuff from Riga and London. So, yeah, you could import spices. It's interesting that it's just saying directly from Alexandria, so I guess... You know, that makes sense. Alexandria would be a place where they could just have spices. You don't need to go that far abroad, relatively speaking, for spice. Silk is the real problem. What happens when, like, Austria, your country is present in 3 different markets? You're just not good at trade. You just suck. Bit OP. It's not OP. This guy misunderstands. This guy misunderstands how markets work. From the explanation, he's saying it would be OP to have access to the goods of 3 markets. No, it's a bad thing to be split between 3, because it means it's harder to have your country all having access to the same goods, and it's more expensive. What did you miss? We finished talking about the dev diary proper, and are now looking through dev responses. Such as this fella here who is a little confused because he sees he sees on the map here that Austria is split between Pest, Prague, and Venice. And he's like, that's OP. You've got access to 3 markets, because he does not understand that the way these markets are working is on a location by location basis. So what he thinks is, oh, you're getting goods from all of them. That's a good thing. It's actually a bad thing, because it means your country has different prices for different goods all over, and it's harder to get stuff in certain places, and it's all confusing, and the goods you produce in one place aren't going to be able to easily be used in another place. So as Austria, you're definitely going to want to be making your own market somehow, which probably won't be very easy. Probably so much easier as the Swabians, yeah. Austria player may want to eventually make sure they unify their heartland in one market. Yeah, one way or another, even if it's not your own one, you will want to unify that for sure. Yeah. Having different prices for goods all over the place would be very confusing and frustrating, and just a headache in general, because you'll have to figure out, well, the paper is so much cheaper in the southern part of my country, but that's not where the capital is. And then you got to debate, do you want to move your capital there, I'm sure. And these are the questions. These are the questions that you got to think about that make me really excited for this, because there's going to be so much involved. And it's not just going to be EU4 where you're like, huh. Oh, I've got enough mana. I can get a tech. Oh, I've got enough mana, but I don't want to buy that tech yet, so I'm just going to press the bird mana button and increase the bird points of this city. Imagine being split between 7 markets. Yeah, lucky number 7. I bet if you're out in the steppe, you're going to be split between quite a few markets, because, well, the Great Horde is absolutely massive, as we can see here on this political map, and some of it is in the Kiev market, some of it's in the Moscow market, some of it's in Kaffa, a lot of it's in Kaffa. There's the Astrakhan, Samarkand, and Kazan, I guess, out there. There's so many of these markets. That's already 6. So I'm pretty sure that the Great Horde is in fact going to be your lucky number 7 already. Doesn't that sound fun? Being split between all those markets, and only some of them, like Kaffa probably, being able to access any decent quality goods. It'll be like Kaffa and Samarkand are like the only ones where you can actually access like good, like decent goods at a reasonable price. So you probably want to be having your capital set down here if it isn't already. Maybe as a horde it's easier. Well, as a horde you probably just don't need as many fine goods. As a horde you probably just don't care about as many things. So you're not needing I doubt you need tar as a horde to make things. You probably just need wood and like animal hides, so it's not as difficult. But to settle down and become a proper country, I bet it would be pretty difficult, because you need to somehow centralize control over that massive area. Which would probably be a lot of fun. I bet there is a lot of fun to be had in playing as a horde, and just like I'm talking about with China, trying to slowly gain control and exert your influence over the region. So play as the Great Horde, kill Genoa's influence here, lock down your control over that region on this coast, and have Kaffa be your central zone somehow or something. Maybe do it in Samarkand. I don't know. Have fun. But they have all of these. They've got so much land. I love ranting, if you can't tell. There's 2 other people in the voice call with me, if you didn't remember, because I'm just talking so much they don't have a chance to say anything.
I'm talking so much.
Fucking yap, yap, yap.
Alright. Looks like burgers will have small scale trades. Yep. Automaton does stuff. Do something similar. All the buildings, location, size. Templates upon templates are useful. Oh god. Yeah, I imagine that setting all this up. Oh boy! Suddenly remembering, yeah, modding this. Oh boy, setting up the pops and all that, it's gonna be like, oh boy, templates indeed. So you gotta have population templates, be like, alright, this is the population size. It's gotta be that big, and then you've gotta distinguish the cultures and faiths of the pops. Oh god, and then the buildings, and then the... Oh... Yeah, starting to mod this, you gotta start with a very small area for sure. Whew.
Nope, the whole map, day one.
No, 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 Dark, no. We can't. It's gotta be like just the crescent. At most, it's gotta be just the crescent.
Are you a weak-willed individual?
Yes.
Pathetic.
I ain't doing it. It can't be any larger than the crescent. That's gonna be already. That's gonna be a lot of work.
Pathetic.
I own a location. That's what. Yeah. That's what that guy is talking about, Aiden. Where it's like, yeah. Well, with Johan's saying templates upon templates, you just write up a bunch of templates and then copy paste them in there, I suppose, when you figure out how the code works. You copy an example. For modding it, it's probably going to be a case of look at vanilla. How do I want this to compare to vanilla? Do I want, is like, all right, this is a city that's like comparable to Paris. All right, copy paste that. Make adjustments to populations, culture, and faiths as needed. Maybe make it a little bigger, a little smaller. Who knows? That sort of thing. Still very tedious, but there's ways you can make it much easier on yourself than just being like, there's 50k people in this place. Yeah, 50k folks are right there, yeah. Final location of Smite Mill Market. England owns Taiwan or whatever, yes. Yeah, just cases of people being confused on how markets work, because, yeah, I mean, I don't think in the context of England having Taiwan, there would be... I mean, first of all, you'd have no control there, but yeah, the point is you, I don't know. I don't know what you'd produce on Taiwan that you'd want to import, especially.
You wouldn't use Taiwan for producing, you'd use it as, potential market.
I guess...
Drink goods out of China.
In that case, do you try to force it into your own market? Is that the point?
Yeah, like, you could also do it with, like, just take Macau or not Hong Kong as, like, a market center. Just nab up China's own country.
Could you make multiple markets then? No. How would that
Well, I can
work?
imagine China is not going to be one big market.
No, you're right. You're right. It is probably... Yeah, there will probably be...
At least a Canton, Nanjing, and Beijing markets. At least.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. And that's an excellent example of how a situation like... Yeah, so what this guy's getting a little confused about how you... And I mean, so am I, but... It'll be pretty obvious when you're actually playing the game, because when you're actually playing the game, you'll see a case of, oh, China is split into all these markets. Ooh, if I take that one, that's the center of trade in this area. I will now be glomphing so much money, because everyone will be coming to trade in Macau, which I own, and it'll be making it so much easier for you to trade resources out as well. Yes. And I guess gives you better access to silk then. That's, an example of a resource they would have in that region that you want. Lower and upper caps for prices? Don't know how... He just doesn't know how Vic works. Max and min price factor depends on current age. Oh, okay. Huh. The invention of capitalism.
I need to be heading out for the night, but great talking to you guys as always.
We will see you, Vector.
Thank you very much for being around, Victor.
A little bit soon.
You have a good day.
We can maybe finish the page.
We can We don't need to talk forever about this. There's a lot of stuff that could be talked about, and we don't
want to
need
go
to
through
do
5
that.
pages.
I kind of want to. Yeah, I want to finish dealing with this so I can go look at more Warhammer DLC stuff.
Oh, nerd.
Oh, you want to save Rome? Is that it? Is that it? Yeah.
No, it's too late to save Roman. It's too late at night.
Oh, yeah. It's like 9 for you now. Markets will be dynamic. Yep. Caps. So have to be adjacent to be able to trade with each other. Central Asia. Silk Road type of pathing. You don't need to be adjacent to trade. Yes, you can have multiple markets in your... Yep. Makes sense. Will the trade regions be the same as continental regions and areas under the paradox game? EU4? Huh. Yep. No markets are dynamic. Yep. It's possible. Be the middleman. Trade empire just by moving goods. Huh. Getting rich from trading X to A to B. Interesting. Yeah. I guess that's what Genoa is. Genoa is probably the textbook example of the guy who gets rich by being the middleman. Huh. This whole time I didn't even realize that's what I wanted. I'm curious how the army battles work out. They are not the same as EU4. Transportation cost, yep. Very good dev diary. Goal is to have the crown controlling trade directly as much as possible. Huh. As less profitable. Huh. So eventually, in long term, you will always want... It'll just be more effective to have the crown controlling it directly. I can't argue with that. Yeah, makes sense. Simulate the Silk Road trade route? Yes. Yes, the Great Horde must make tons of money on the Silk Road. Yes, please. Actually, wait. The Silk Road only partially goes into the Great Horde. It dips down out of them pretty quick, I think.
The Silk Road splits. It branches. There's a part that goes north through the steppe and another part that goes south through Persia.
Alright, then. Market's really just a market city and then we'll capture locations. Yes. Buildings that can increase your
Silk
power.
Road isn't just like a line. It branches in both directions.
I'm sure it would branch off at many other points as well, yeah.
Even going east, it branches off. Like, you got the land route through the Tarim Basin, or you can go around the ocean around India.
Yeah, makes sense. Markets, yep. Big city, massive devastating wars. Between AI affect the player, yeah. It is not fun to see the cities you import goods from ravaged and not be able to restore their output for many years. Yeah, I just keep thinking tar. It's like, I want to build my buildings, but all these people are like candles. I need my candle wax or something. I don't know. And these people, they got their city burned down. They don't have any wax for me anymore. Unga bunga. Oh gosh. Goat. Beaks. Civil wars are countries now. Yeah, that's a fair point, huh? Interesting implications by that, yeah. Given that there's a trade range, does that mean that some goods will, like silk, be moving from market to market to... Yep, yeah, okay. Each trade is between 2 markets on a path, yep. Yep. Though, that does raise questions about how the Silk Road works. Because does that mean, then, that the Silk Road is a case of you're not buying it from someplace along the way. It is, in fact, you in Genoa. You want to buy your silk. You're in Genoa and you want to have your silk. You are, in fact, buying it all the way from wherever in China it's being produced in, for example. And it just goes along that route to get to you. And it's more expensive the longer it goes, I guess. Maybe.
Yes.
Alright. Well then. We could talk about 3 more, but I have a feeling at this point that the rest of these are going to be the same. There's already been, indeed. There has already been a few that are repeating more of the same, and there could be some gems in here, but probably not good enough to be worth the effort, unless I wanted to skim through it for an edited video. So with that, we shall end this stream here. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate all of you hanging out and making little comments. Even you, James, with your funny shit posts. You're so well behaved this time. I'm proud of you. But if you're still here, that is. But yes. Thank you all for watching, and hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.